Hello students. Welcome to another exciting lesson. Class, imagine Earth is a giant community where nutrients are the currency. If nitrogen is one of the most valuable currencies, how does nitrogen move from the atmosphere to plants and animals? Let's dive into the nitrogen cycle and decomposition to find out. Before that, let's review what we discussed in our previous class. In our last class, we defined nutrient, carbon, oxygen, and water cycles. We also identified their processes and importance. Now, let's look at today's lesson objectives. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to 1. Define the nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. 2. Describe the stages of the nitrogen cycle. 3. Explain how nitrogen is added to and lost from the soil. 4. Understand decomposition, including the role of decomposers in the ecosystem. Before we proceed, let's define nitrogen. Nitrogen is an essential element that plays a critical role in the structure and function of all living organisms. Now, let's look at nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle is the continuous movement of nitrogen through the atmosphere, soil, plants, animals, and back to the atmosphere. Nitrogen is essential for building all living organisms' proteins, enzymes, and DNA. Let's take a moment to look at nitrogen fixation. Have you heard the word before? Well, I'm here to discuss that. Nitrogen fixation is the process of converting nitrogen gas from the atmosphere into forms that plants can absorb, like ammonia or nitrates. This happens through 1. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the roots of leguminous plants like beans, peas, and many more. 2. Lightning, which provides energy to break nitrogen molecules, forming nitrates. One lightning strike can fix enough nitrogen to fertilize a small farm. Let's look at the stages of the nitrogen cycle. 1. Symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Certain bacteria such as rhizobium live in noodles on the roots of legumes like beans, and convert nitrogen gas into ammonia, which plants can use. 2. Electrical discharge, also known as lightning. Lightning breaks nitrogen molecules in the atmosphere, allowing them to combine with oxygen and form nitrates that fall into the soil with rainwater. 3. Non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Free-living bacteria in the soil like Azotobacter and Clostridium independently convert atmospheric nitrogen into usable forms. 4. Ammonification. Decomposers like bacteria and fungi break down organic matter, such as dead plants, dead animals, and waste, releasing ammonia into the soil. 5. Nitrification. Nitrifying bacteria such as Nitrosomonas convert ammonia into nitrites. Other bacteria like Nitrobacter convert nitrites into nitrates which plants absorb. 6. Denitrification. Denitrifying bacteria like Pseudomonas convert nitrates back into nitrogen gas, releasing it into the atmosphere. We will move on to see how nitrogen is made available, and also lost in soil. Nitrogen is made available in soil through 1. Symbiotic bacteria in plant roots. 2. Non-symbiotic bacteria in the soil. 3. Lightning converting nitrogen gas into nitrates. 4. Decomposition of organic matter. 5. Artificial fertilizers. Nitrogen is lost from the soil through 1. Leaching, this is nitrogen being washed away by water. 2. Denitrification, bacteria return nitrogen to the atmosphere. 3. Crop harvesting, this is the process by which plants remove nitrogen from the soil. Let's look at decomposition in nature. What are decomposers? Decomposers are organisms that break down dead plants and animals into simpler substances, recycling nutrients into the environment. An example is bacteria or fungi. There are two groups of decomposers. 1. Microdecomposers. These are microscopic organisms that can cause decay. Examples are bacteria and fungi. 2. Macrodecomposers. These are bigger organisms that can cause the decay of dead organic materials. Examples are earthworms, termites, snails, etc. Next is the process of decomposition. Dead plants and animals are broken down by decomposers. Nutrients like nitrogen and carbon are released back into the soil. Then, these nutrients are absorbed by plants, continuing the cycle. We will move on to the roles of decomposers in the ecosystem. Decomposers play major roles in the ecosystem in the following ways. 1. They enrich the soil with nutrients required for plant growth. 2. They contribute to environmental pollution. 3. They allow the ecosystem to function by enabling the recycling of nutrients. We've come to the end of this lesson. I believe you had fun learning. Please attempt the following classwork. 1. Define the nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. 2. List and explain 3 stages of the nitrogen cycle in the soil. 3. Describe 2 ways nitrogen is lost from the soil. 4. Differentiate between microdecomposers and macrodecomposers, giving examples. 5. Explain 2 roles of decomposers in the ecosystem. Before we wrap up, let's go through what we learned today. In today's class, we define nitrogen cycle, and nitrogen fixation. We discussed stages of nitrogen cycle. We also mentioned how nitrogen is made available in the soil and how it is lost. Then, we explained groups of decomposers, and the roles of decomposers in the ecosystem. We are done with nutrient cycling in nature. In our next class, we will dive into ecological management. Thanks for being here. See you in our next class. Bye.